Right now, as you're watching this, your cat might be observing you with those penetrating eyes, but they're not seeing what you think they're seeing. According to my most controversial and suppressed writings, cats don't perceive humans as separate beings at all. Instead, they see us as walking embodiments of our deepest psychological archetypes, living symbols of our unconscious minds made manifest. This earth-shattering revelation came through my secret correspondence with a mysterious woman I knew only as the cat whisperer of Zurich, and what I discovered would forever change how we understand the feline-human connection. The case that brought this revelation to light began in 1952 when I received an urgent letter from Emma Hoffmann, a wealthy Swiss aristocrat whose behavior had become so erratic that her family feared for her sanity. Emma claimed that her 7 cats had begun responding to her as if she were multiple different people, treating her with varying degrees of affection, fear, and indifference throughout each day. "It's as if they see different versions of me that I cannot see myself," she wrote to me in desperation. "Sometimes they approach with love, other times they flee in terror, and I've done nothing to warrant either response." Intrigued by this unusual case, I agreed to meet with Emma at her estate outside Zurich. What I witnessed there would shake my understanding of consciousness itself. As I observed Emma interact with her cats throughout the day, I noticed something extraordinary. Each cat responded to her differently, depending on which psychological state Emma was experiencing, but their responses were immediate and consistent, as if they were reacting to visible changes that I myself could not perceive. When Emma was in her nurturing, motherly state, her Persian cat Gretchen would approach with complete trust, purring and seeking comfort. But moments later, when Emma's mood shifted to anxiety about her deceased father, the same cat would retreat to a safe distance, watching her warily. Most remarkably, when Emma entered what I would later identify as her shadow state, harboring unconscious resentments and dark thoughts she refused to acknowledge, all 7 cats would simultaneously position themselves defensively around the room. It was during my 3rd visit that I experienced my profound breakthrough. As I sat, quietly observing Emma's interaction with her cats, I entered what I call active imagination, allowing my conscious mind to merge with my unconscious awareness. In this altered state, I later wrote in my private journals, I began to perceive Emma exactly as her cats did. Instead of seeing a single person, I witnessed what I described as a living mandala of competing psychological forces, each archetype manifesting as distinct energy signatures that cats instinctively recognize and respond to. According to my revolutionary discovery, cats possess what I termed archetypal vision. While humans see the constructed social mask we call personality, cats perceive the raw psychological forces that actually drive human behavior. They see us as walking representations of universal patterns that exist in what I call the collective unconscious. When your cat looks at you, they're not seeing John or Sarah or whoever you think you are. They're seeing the mother, the warrior, the trickster, the wise elder, or any combination of these eternal patterns as they manifest through your physical form. I identified 12 primary archetypes that cats consistently recognize in humans. The mother archetype appears to cats as a warm, golden presence that radiates safety and nourishment. Cats drawn to this archetype seek comfort, purring, and nurturing behaviors. The father archetype manifests as a strong, protective energy that commands respect. Cats responding to this archetype often display submissive but trusting behaviors, looking to the human for leadership and security. The shadow archetype, representing repressed aspects of personality, appears to cats as dark, chaotic energy patterns. This explains why cats sometimes seem afraid of owners who consider themselves loving and gentle. The cats aren't responding to conscious intentions, but to the unconscious shadow material that humans refuse to acknowledge. I documented case after case where cats accurately identified hidden anger, resentment, or malicious intentions long before the humans themselves became aware of these feelings. The anima and animus archetypes, representing the unconscious feminine and masculine aspects within each person, create particularly complex responses in cats. A man strongly connected to his anima might find that cats approach him with unusual gentleness, sensing the feminine wisdom within his masculine exterior. Conversely, a woman expressing her animus might discover that cats treat her with the respect typically reserved for male authority figures. Perhaps most fascinating was my discovery of what I called archetypal shifting. Humans don't remain fixed in single archetypal expressions. Throughout each day, different life situations activate different archetypal patterns, and cats adjust their behavior accordingly with uncanny precision. I observed this phenomenon repeatedly at Emma's estate, noting how the cats would alter their responses to her within seconds of archetypal transitions occurring. One particularly striking example involved Emma's relationship with her tabby cat, Friedrich. During morning hours, when Emma was in her wise elder archetype, planning her day with calm authority, Friedrich would sit beside her like a devoted student. But when afternoon brought telephone calls from her demanding sister, activating Emma's victim archetype, Friedrich would immediately distance himself, treating her with the same wariness he showed toward genuinely helpless, dependent humans. My most controversial discovery involved what I termed shadow recognition therapy. I found that cats could be used as diagnostic tools to identify psychological imbalances in humans. By observing which archetypes cats consistently responded to or avoided in a person, I could map that individual's psychological terrain with remarkable accuracy. Cats, I realized, served as living mirrors reflecting the unconscious contents of human psyche. Dr. Hans Müller, a colleague of mine who initially dismissed these ideas as fantasy, became a convert after experiencing the phenomenon firsthand. Müller suffered from chronic depression that traditional analysis hadn't resolved. When I suggested Müller spend time observing his interactions with cats, the results were revelatory. Every cat Müller encountered responded to him as if he were dangerous, despite his gentle demeanor and genuine love for animals. Through careful observation, Müller discovered that cats were reacting to his powerful death archetype, an unconscious death wish he'd never acknowledged. This shadow material was so strong that cats instinctively avoided him, sensing the psychological toxicity he carried. Once Müller began consciously working with this archetypal energy through my analytical methods, his depression lifted, and remarkably, cats began approaching him with normal, friendly behavior. I documented dozens of similar cases where cats served as early warning systems for psychological disturbances. In one instance, a wealthy businessman named Klaus Richter noticed his normally affectionate cats had begun avoiding him. My analysis revealed that Richter's suppressed destroyer archetype was gaining strength, manifesting as unconscious urges towards self-sabotage. Within months, Richter's business collapsed due to increasingly reckless decisions he couldn't understand. The cats had detected this self-destructive pattern long before Richter's conscious mind recognized the danger. The therapeutic implications were staggering. I developed techniques for using cats as psychological mirrors, helping patients identify which archetypes were dominant, suppressed, or imbalanced in their psyche. Patients would spend structured time with cats while I observed both the feline responses and the human reactions to those responses. This method, which I privately called feline-assisted individuation, proved remarkably effective for achieving psychological integration. What makes my discoveries even more extraordinary is how they align with modern neuroscience research about animal perception. Scientists have discovered that cats possess heightened sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, body language, microexpressions, and biochemical changes in human scent. What I interpreted as archetypal recognition may actually represent cats' superior ability to detect the physiological signatures of different psychological states. Studies show that human archetypes do indeed produce measurable biological changes. The mother archetype activates oxytocin and prolactin systems, creating distinct pheromone signatures. The warrior archetype triggers testosterone and adrenaline cascades, altering body temperature and muscle tension in ways cats easily detect. The shadow archetype often involves stress hormones that create acidic scents cats instinctively associate with danger. My most profound insight involved what I called mutual individuation. I discovered that the relationship between cats and humans serves a deeper evolutionary purpose. Cats don't just recognize human archetypes, they actively help humans integrate these psychological forces. Through their responses, cats provide constant feedback about which archetypal energies are being expressed, helping humans develop greater self-awareness and psychological balance. Emma Hoffman's transformation exemplified this process. As she learned to recognize her own archetypal shifts by observing her cat's responses, she developed remarkable psychological stability. The cats essentially trained her to become conscious of unconscious processes, leading to what I described as accelerated individuation. Emma learned to embody her archetypes consciously rather than being unconsciously possessed by them. My secret correspondence with Emma continued for a while, documenting case after case of humans achieving psychological breakthroughs through feline-assisted awareness. These letters, discovered in my private papers, reveal techniques for reading cat behavior as psychological feedback, methods for using archetypal shifts therapeutically, and practices for achieving deeper integration between conscious and unconscious mind. I believe this knowledge was suppressed because it challenged fundamental assumptions about human consciousness and animal intelligence. If cats truly possess archetypal vision, it suggests that animals may be far more psychologically sophisticated than mainstream science acknowledges. It also implies that humans are far less integrated and self-aware than we typically assume. One of my most haunting observations concerned what I called archetypal authenticity. I noticed that cats respond most positively to humans who embody their archetypes with genuine integration rather than psychological pretense. A person playing at being nurturing while harboring unconscious resentment couldn't fool cats for a moment. They respond to archetypal reality, not archetypal performance. This explains why some people seem to have natural rapport with cats, while others struggle to connect despite genuine affection. Cats are drawn to archetypal authenticity and psychological integration. They avoid humans whose conscious self-image conflicts dramatically with their unconscious reality, sensing the internal fragmentation as inherently unstable and potentially dangerous. Today, as you observe your own cat's behavior toward you, remember that you're receiving constant psychological feedback from a being that sees beyond your social mask to your deepest archetypal nature. That sudden purring, that inexplicable withdrawal, that choice to sleep in your presence or maintain distance. These aren't random behaviors, they're responses to the archetypal energies you're unconsciously broadcasting. My shocking revelation reminds us that consciousness is far more complex and interconnected than we typically imagine. In understanding how cats truly perceive us as living embodiments of universal psychological patterns, we gain access to profound tools for self-knowledge and integration. Your cat serves as a mirror reflecting your unconscious mind, offering daily opportunities to recognize and integrate the archetypal forces that shape your life. The next time your cat gazes at you with those knowing eyes, remember they're seeing the eternal patterns that move through you, the archetypal dramas that unfold in your psyche, the universal forces that connect you to all humanity. In their perfect response to these deeper truths, cats offer us the gift of authentic self-recognition and the path towards psychological wholeness that I called individuation.